Hello everyone. So here we go. So I managed to finish one. As you can see, this is put together now. Mine is the buttonhole, which will be the last step we have to do to this one before we hang it. So I figured it out. I think we're doing pretty good. I like how it looks. It's coming together, okay? So we move on now. So one thing I didn't tell you guys in the last video, in video 4, two things. One, I had discussed with you guys about how you go about finishing your edges. I said you can look back on my previous videos to see how we finish the edges. I showed you 2 steps. Long story short, ignore that. You do not need to finish the edges on this project simply because we will not see the finished edges. They will be inside. So it's a step that's just not necessary. People do it. You can serge the edges. You can use one of the methods I show you. It's just not necessary. So I'm moving ahead without finishing my edges. The next thing that I noticed is when I was sewing mine together, I noticed that the loop part that's going to go over the oven handle, it will need interfacing. If you don't know what interfacing is, I'm about to demonstrate for you. This is interfacing. You iron it on. In the store it's called fusible interfacing or iron-on interfacing. It comes in a number of colors. It comes in a number of weights. This is fusible interfacing as well. You usually use it to give fabric an additional weight, and whenever you're going to be putting buttonholes on your material. Of course, there's other uses, so you're more than welcome to Google uses of interfacing, but I'm just showing you what it looks like and that you will need it when you get to this step. So I've already preheated my iron, and I'm just going to show you the quickest technique I know. You always put interfacing on the wrong side of the fabric. So as you can see, this is the right side, the shiny side of my fabric. The interfacing goes on the wrong side. This is just some scrap. I had a lot of scrap, so I use all of mine. The iron-on side faces the wrong side. So this is the part you want facing the wrong side of your fabric. You basically put it on, take your iron, and you just iron it down. You're just ironing your interfacing onto your fabric. If you have a steam feature on your iron, you might want to turn them off. I don't. It still works. Again, and then what I do is I'll just keep cutting pieces of interfacing until I get to my desired weight. For this, we don't really need a lot. This just happens to be some lightweight interfacing. So if you want to layer it, again, it goes face down. You'll know really fast if you're using your interfacing on the wrong side. It will stick to your iron. That means that you're ironing it face up instead of down. So as you can see, mine keeps sticking, which means that it's on the fabric, which is what we want. So basically what we're going to do is I clean the edges afterwards. That's a good weight. So I'm not gonna put more on. There's a couple places I didn't cover, so I'll just throw this piece on face down again and just a couple of hits with the heat and iron it on and cut to finish. So that's one of the pieces that's going to go over the loop over the handle of the door. And then you want to get the next one. Wrong side of fabric is face down, face up is the right side. Take some scraps. I'm just going to use all of my scraps first. Hit it with the iron. While that's sticking, I can cut just another random piece of interfacing. That stuck a little, but it's okay. I just kept it on too long, not because I have it the wrong way. Take another piece. Again, the interfacing is simply for weight, and then when you put the buttonhole on, it will give the buttonhole a much better hold when you go to sew it on. And then just again, be careful finishing, cutting around. You don't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be super neat. Just cut off the excess, and again, you'll be left with a clean piece. Okay, so now that we have these two pieces, now I'm going to go and move on to how we're going to pin it in order to go to our machine. So we have the part that's going to be attached to the dishcloth. Okay, so basically we're going to lay this down with, this time, the right side up. So look exactly how I'm laying it. This is the part we're going to eventually attach the dishcloth to, right side up. This is the loop, the part where we're going to eventually put the buttonhole, again, right side up. We're going to center it as such so that you can see how I have it centered, and we are going to start to pin right on the edge. One thing, right sides together, guys. Remember, both of these have to be right sides together. One thing that I noticed when I went to sew mine at the other one at the machine is the fabric, the material kept slipping, so I had to take it out and re-sew it because it was sloppy and the stitch had slipped. To prevent that, just use a number of pins, as many pins as you can squeeze in here. That will prevent your fabric from moving once you go to the machine. So you see how I did it? So when you open it up, that's going to be your seam, right sides together, right side, dishcloth bottom. Eventually this will be the top part that we're going to hook over. Okay, one more demonstration because you should have two. Again, right side up. This is the part where the dishcloth will eventually be connected. This is the loop part, right sides together. Again, center it as much as you possibly can, and we are going to pin, and again, as many pins as you can to keep these edges as close together as possible and to prevent them from moving once that needle hits your machine. Okay, so I use, I guess, about what, 6-7 pins, and it really makes a difference if you have fabric that's slippery, that slides together. Okay, so I have them all pinned. Now, one thing I want to show you guys to check yourself for, as far as being precise on your measurements, is, again, put them together, the two pieces, because eventually that will be the next step after we go sew them together. So we want them to be, look at that, couldn't be a better fit. See how my edges here and here fit completely, I mean, are lined up. That's the better way to put it. You want everything, when you put it together, to be lined up. These edges, and you want these edges over here to be lined up, and these should both be centered. So these pins, when you put them together, you see how mine look like they're completely the same width or whatever. That's how you want yours to look. And the reason that's important is because when we go to put these two together, which will be the step after we sew this on, they have to match or it's going to be off. So hopefully you guys are hanging in there with me. We're almost there. Please take the time to visit my website, BustaWraps, BustaWraps, BustaWraps.com. This is video number 5. Be right back, guys.